You can't go more than a couple of hours without hearing a Dylan Cozens to the Calgary Flames trade rumor. It seems like every day there's a new article, podcast, radio show, or TV segment that aligns the young center with the best hockey team in Alberta. So is a trade involving the two imminent? Why not have another YouTube video covering the two to give the latest update on the whole situation? Before we get into all that and more in this video, I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. And let's hop straight in and talk about, is Cozens a fit? I apologize if I seem a little bit weary in this one. This is my sixth video I've recorded today, so hopefully I'm still trying to be as energetic and optimistic and positive as possible. And why not talk about our boy Dylan Cozens? We talk about him seemingly every single week, and like I said, as Flames fans, we can't get enough of hearing about him. I mean, at this point, just trade him already. Hopefully he hasn't actually been traded by the time this video goes live. But either way, let's hop in, and we have another great article from the Calgary Herald. Great place to get your Flames content. But Kent Wilson writes this great article on New Year's Eve. He wrote, "Is Dylan Cozens a good trade target for the Flames?" Because we always talk about, him being a trade target for the Flames, but is he a good trade target? Well, with a growing collection of picks and prospects, the Flames could accelerate their rebuild by swapping some of them for the 23-year-old. And I think the key there in the sub headline is saying some of them. It's not just going to take one, it's going to take some of them. So this is especially true in Calgary wanting a young center, where you can count the number of big top six pivots over the years on one hand. Sean Monahan, Olli Jokinen, and Joe Nieuwendyk are the few memorable names who check this box. That is insane. Some teams get, a bunch of great centers. You think of guys like Crosby and Malkin. You think of guys like McDavid and Draisaitl. Some teams just luck out. We, over the past years, have had Monahan, Jokinen, and Nieuwendyk as the pivots. That is quite funny. Which is no doubt why Flames fans are eyeing Dylan Cozens, a 7th overall pick of the Buffalo Sabres. Cozens is a 6'3", 210-pound right-handed center who already has a 31-goal, 68-point season under his belt. Nevertheless, the player has cropped up in recent trade rumors due to the Sabres' perpetual struggles. I wouldn't even say recent. It's been since last year when the Flames were selling ship. We were still talking about Cozens then. We're just talking about Cozens even more now. With a growing collection of picks and prospects, the Flames could accelerate their rebuild by swapping some of them for the 23-year-old. Superficially, it seems like a no-brainer, but we need to dig beneath the surface to really understand if it would be worthwhile. We all know what happens when players who are deemed disappointing or not good enough leave Buffalo. They go on to do great things. You think of guys over the past couple years that have won cups like Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart, who are literally elite. First, there's a reason the Sabres, an organization desperate for any level of success, would be willing to move Cozens. Despite his size, skill set, and draft pedigree, his results have been mediocre in aggregate during his NHL career. His notable 31-goal, 68-point season in 2022-23 stands out as a stark outlier so far. Ignoring his 41-game rookie season, Cozens has scored at a 43-point pace in 3 of his 4 NHL seasons, which is not great for a former 7th overall pick. Taken all together, Cozens' point pace of 1.81 per 60 at 5-on-5 or 5 seasons is pretty good. Basically the lower end of what you'd expect from a capable top 6 forward. This number is significantly propped up by his one big season, however. If we drop that from his cumulative total, his rate drops to just 1.6 per 60, roughly third liner production. Cozens has never placed higher than 5th on the Sabres in team scoring and has not developed into the tip of the spear of the Buffalo attack. Even this year, Cozens is currently 8th in points at the time of recording, behind no fewer than 3 defenders. Owen Power, Bowen Byram, and Rasmus Andersson. All his defensemen have more than Cozens, which is extremely interesting. Not every pivot has to be an offensive superstar to be effective, of course. Unfortunately, Cozens also doesn't defend or drive play to any notable degree. Only 3 players on the Sabres have worse expected goal ratios on Buffalo in 2024-25 so far, and the Sabres have never finished with a positive goals for ratio with Cozens on the ice so far in his career. Wow, they are just really selling Cozens in this article. If we look at who Cozens plays against, he's a middle rotation option skating against the other team's second and third liners versus elite competition. He has the second worst shots for ratio on the Sabres. His expected goals against rate of 2.85 per 60 at even strength is also third worst, which is, again, a bit of a yikes. This is a very long way of saying that Cozens profiles as a third-line player right now and not much else. His offensive production straddles the typical second or third-line forward, and he does not have the defensive or two-way prowess to consistently play tough minutes. So you can kind of assume that obviously the author of this article isn't too keen on going for Cozens. And you can read the whole article. I know by the time this video goes up, it's literally from like a couple weeks ago at this point, but it's still an interesting read overall. I'm going to show a little bit more, but it is interesting. We always hear about Cozens. So really, is a trade that imminent? If we have people like this, in the ear of Conroy and starting to get their word out more to throughout the fan base, maybe people won't want Cozens as much, and maybe those trade rumors will die down a little bit more. I still think it's worth going for Cozens, but it could be expensive, and that brings me to the next chapter, which is price. And I'm not going to fully be talking about, the price that it'll cost to acquire him, more so the price of actually having him and kind of the risk involved. So if you were wondering why the Sabres might be willing to move on from Cozens, given their desperation to climb out of the Eastern Conference basement, this is why. Cozens will also be both expensive to acquire and to retain. So he'll be expensive. You got to give up a lot in order to get him. And then when you have him, it's pricey. Despite his uneven results and average results this year, the Sabres will be loath to lose a trade with both Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart finding success elsewhere after leaving the organization. Dealing the player for anything less than a clear win would be embarrassing for those in charge. So Buffalo is not going to let him go for, not much like they did with Eichel and Reinhart, and look how that went for them. I think The Athletic recently ranked all of the big four teams' front offices. And Buffalo, as you can imagine, was not very high up on that list. So extremely, extremely interesting there. Cozens' contract is also substantial. This is the price of actually keeping him around. He inked a 7-year, $7.1 million per year deal after his apparent breakout in 2022-23, a number his current level of play does nothing to justify. It's a deal that will be seen as a milestone unless he can take a substantial step forward. For the Flames, Cozens would not be an instant addition to the top of the rotation or the core player group. Instead, he would be something of a reclamation project. The team would have to have faith that they could unlock the 30-plus goal, 70-point player that appeared 2 seasons ago rather than settle for the 40-point player he seems to be currently. And we would hope that his numbers would be a lot better than a 70-point player. If we want our cornerstone center, it can't be a 70-point player in this generation's league. You'd want arguably double that. So I don't know. This article really made me question whether Cozens really is worth going after. I know a lot of people who watch this channel really want the Flames to go after him. I just don't know if it's worthwhile with that contract and what he might cost. Again, I'd like to go for it, but you'd want something a little more surefire. What that is, I don't know. It's a super complicated situation overall for what the Flames want, and I know Conroy is probably splitting hairs over it, we can assume. Now let's wrap this one up with the comment of the day, as we love to do here on the channel. And again, this comment comes from a little while ago, but I like this one here. So Lauren says, dreaming of a Rangers trade for Lafreniere with, the kind of hiding the eyes emoji there. But very interesting. So we've had a couple comments, or maybe it's actually for a future video, but another comment will also say something about Lafreniere, who could be a much better option than Dylan Cozens, and the contract, what he would cost. Maybe Lafreniere is the man we really should be going after, but again, that could just even complicate things further, and I don't know how viable of an option it is, but a lot of people would love to see it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe like you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.